All right. Quick update, people, on the state of your planet. Shorter version, not looking good. Longer version, stay on and we'll talk about it. So, we're having kind of an oh shit moment here in the U.S. What's happening is, well, you can kind of see it. Actually, I should have done a little more preparation. I didn't. Oh, there it is. That worked out on accident. Something is happening in the U.S. that's related to something I've been talking about pretty incessantly, even, obsessed about it. The state of the polar vortex and the related Earth structures in the Earth dynamic system. So, may as well look at the polar vortex itself. The polar vortex is looking weird, people. Looking really weird. I believe this thing is about to split in half. So let me grab a drawing tool. It looks to me like this main gyre right here is about to split. I can't draw for shit, sorry. Is about to split in two. And I can skip forward. There is some ability to forecast in this Earth model, and you can actually forecast forward, and you end up with two gyres here because this connects in the center. So we may be heading for a 3-gyre system, and there's even some suggestion of another one up here. And of course, this one has been here for many weeks now. So this polar vortex is it's basically exploding. It's blowing itself into pieces, and this is not good. All right, I have said before, this is basically the end of the human world. If this continues, really, we're talking about Hollywood scenarios here. We're talking about a Hollywood movie. The movie was actually done. What was it? 2004, I think. It was called The Day After Tomorrow. The Day After Tomorrow? I think it was, yes. And the science in that movie isn't bad. At the end, they have the Earth plunged into an ice age. That's not going to happen. An ice age is actually a big deal, and we're not going to be in an ice age. However, we can have some pretty crazy ice events that don't become ice ages. In fact, an ice event this week could be completely reversed by a heat wave the next week. So it's not like this becomes permanent, but we can still have some massively dangerous icing events that will make you think that the ice age has come back. Of course, if you've been paying attention on this channel, we have terminated the ice age, almost certainly forever. This Earth will be tens of millions of years away from the next ice age because of what we've done with fossil fuel emissions. Nevertheless, let's go forward. So this is the polar vortex, looking completely insane. Seriously, let's look at what's happening at the south of the country planet. See what the Antarctica is saying. Well, they're not seeing any problems at all. They're looking beautiful. That's weird. And look what we've got going on up here. We're coming completely unglued in the northern hemisphere. Going down in the atmosphere a little bit. Remember, this is at the top of the atmosphere. This is at 10 hectopascals, and we can go down to 500. Numbers get bigger as you go down, and this is the bad news. This is the bad news, folks. This is apocalyptic. So I'm going to draw here. This is the United States of America. We all know and love. Try and have happy thoughts, people. And here's the state of Alaska. All right, up there. And Hawaii, can we see? Oh, Hawaii is way out here. All right, but that's fine. We have to support Hawaii. So this is the United States of America. This is and just having drawn that, you can see what's happening. The North Polar jet stream, which looks like a monster at this point. This thing is completely deranged. Where to start? Well, okay, let's start here. Let's start with what's happening here. There is... How do we turn that off? I never get this part right. Let's see if I can do this. There is this thing coming down into the United States. And then it goes up, and then it does this, and then it goes around, and then it does this, and then it goes around, and then it comes back up here, okay? Look at this. Look at this beast. Look at this. Good Lord. So anyway, this is what the jet stream is doing. And the key here is that it's dipping way down into the United States, okay? And as this progresses into the future, it goes down even further. So that by Friday, today's Wednesday, by Friday, they are expecting Arctic air in the eastern half of the U.S. They're talking about freezing weather. They're talking about freezing weather up here in the northern tier of the U.S. And down here in the southwest, they're going to have, well, it's life-threatening. It's basically cataclysmic. It's not only going to be life-threatening. Not only will it be life-threatening, which is bad enough, probably the worst thing that will happen, actually, is that it's going to destroy infrastructure. The southern part of the U.S. doesn't even have snowplows. They don't have any way to handle snow or ice. They're going to get a half an inch of ice. Now, you in other forecasts, if you pay attention to this kind of stuff, and I don't know if you do, in other forecasts, a quarter inch of ice is enough to shut down highways. A half an inch of ice is enough to bring down power lines and break branches off of trees, which is sometimes the same thing. Sometimes the tree branches get so full of ice and the weight of the ice is so great that it breaks the branches off and they fall on the lines and they bring down the lines. But sometimes the power lines themselves, especially if they're old, so the insulators are old, the poles are old, the power lines themselves accumulate so much weight of ice that the lines come down and can even bring the poles down. So it's trees falling, it's the power lines falling. And down here in the south, where they don't get this kind of weather, they just don't get an inch of ice. They just don't do that. I mean, that's Greenland, right? They just don't get this kind of stuff. So down here, their infrastructure is utterly untested. And this is important. If it's new, then you probably have some confidence in it. But if it's been there for 40 years, 80 years, then what we call it is untested. You don't know where the flaws are. It hasn't been tested. It's about to get a test. An inch of ice. That's a big test. And so it is untested up until Friday. And Friday, the test comes. After 40 years, 50 years, 80 years of being useful and serviceable, it's going to get the big test. And a lot of it's going to fail. What do you expect? A lot of it's old. A lot of it's going to fail. And it's going to fail catastrophically. There will be huge sections of power lines that are all built at the same time, all built to the same specifications, all built of the same materials, and it's all likely to fail at the same time. So you may end up with miles of power lines that are simply down. Probably these will be in rural areas because a lot of the infrastructure in cities is newer and more likely to be maintained. Out in these rural areas where there's farmlands and cattle ranches and dairy farms and whatnot, their stuff is going to go down, and then they won't have power. And it's going to be a problem because if they're out in the sticks, then they're surrounded by snow, because that's the other thing that's coming. They're going to be surrounded by snow. The power lines are going to go down. The cities are going to be full of snow. Some of their power lines are going to be down. The effort to repair is going to focus on the cities because that's where the people are. And from there, they will spill outward and do additional repairs as they go. So whereas the city might be without power for a day or two after this event, because you can't start repair work until the event is over. The event is 3 days, and it starts on Friday. And so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe on Monday, you can start your repair work. You focus on the cities and the infrastructure that feeds the city's power and water, because the water will also be frozen. This is what's going to happen, people. This is what's going to happen. This is going to be a Hollywood event. This is going to be something you watch in a Hollywood thriller, okay? And it's going to be frozen pipes, broken pipes because they're frozen, downed power lines because of the ice, and snow. And you're going to have to clear the snow, you're going to have to clear the ice, you're going to have to, well, as soon as the pipes thaw, there's going to be water everywhere, so you're going to have to fix the pipes, and then you're going to have to trace down all this broken electrical equipment, and you're going to start in the cities. And when will they get to the rural areas? It could be a week, it could be longer. This is a wide scale, large scale, wide calamity. This is huge. And what it is this global heating. And that's the part where people are like, back up, Cougar. What are you saying, global heating? How can you have an ice apocalypse in the U.S. Southeast where they grow oranges and have iguanas in the trees? How can you have an ice apocalypse and blame that on global heating? Well, if you're paying attention to this channel, then I've already explained this. But now I'll explain it again, because here we have yet another example. Let's go, turn off my drawing tool. I will now go to the polar vortex. I just had this up. Same picture. This is the polar vortex. What it's supposed to, looking down on the North Pole, what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be a ring. Now let me find my North Pole. That's the North Pole. And it's supposed to be a ring of wind. No, that's not too bad. It's supposed to be a ring of wind around the North Pole at the top of the atmosphere. So this is stratosphere. That's what it's supposed to look like. It doesn't look like that at all. Instead, it looks like this. We've got this abomination going on. We've got another part of it over here. And we have another part of it heavily geared over here. And that's what it does look like. The red is what it does look like, and the blue is what it's supposed to look like. So that's not good. And when the polar vortex looks like this, it slows down, because it's just too much stirring. It doesn't have a good, clean raceway. It slows down. It changes direction. It starts to loop and loop-de-doop, and that affects the jet stream. And that's what this picture was. This is the polar jet stream. The polar jet stream is also supposed to be a circle. The polar jet stream is supposed to be holding cold Arctic air against the North Pole, so that nations and peoples at lower latitudes, like, the lower 48 United States, don't have to deal with Arctic air. If you live in Canada, you live in Alaska, you live in the northern parts of Eurasia, then you have to deal with Arctic air. But you're not expecting to deal with Arctic air down here where we are. What is the latitude down here? Like 30, 40 degrees north latitude down here. So we're not prepared for this. And what's causing this to happen, what's causing this to be the set of conditions, is global heating. Global heating leads to, you see, this is why I have to turn my phone off, which I will now do, because sometimes these spam people call 3 times in a row. So I'm really sorry, folks, because I didn't do the right thing. I'm kind of in a hurry to get through this, and I didn't do my thing. There, now I did it. Muted my phone. So global heating leads to a phenomenon that is not real well understood. They're working on this. It kind of doesn't even matter, because we know it's happening, but you want to work on it, you want to get a grant, you want to do some sciencey stuff, go ahead. Fine with me. I don't really care. What's happening is a condition called sudden stratospheric warming. So when you're up in the stratosphere, so now I'm at the top of the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the polar vortex suddenly warms. And when it warms, then the speed of the winds slows down, and the direction of the winds can become unstable because they're slowing down. When it does, when sudden stratospheric warming hits the polar vortex, it can start to meander, to slow down, and to break apart. And that's what we're seeing here. It's breaking apart. And I think even this largest loop, the one you see in pink, which means high-speed winds, well, when you see in pink and white, it might break in half again. We may end up getting 2 gyres out of this one big gyre. I can actually go forward a little bit on this model. It actually does do predictions. You see there? It's starting. This is a nightmare. This is horrific. I know nobody cares about this. I'm talking about the Earth dynamic system. We live inside this machine, and it's blowing itself to pieces. This is a picture of the polar vortex basically blowing itself to rat shit. This is not good. And I don't care who you are and how disinterested you are in this. This is bad. This is a goddamn nightmare. We're inside of this chaos. We're inside of this. And everything you thought you knew that was sacred and eternal about weather has just gone out the window. And the U.S. is about to get a 3-day cataclysmic weather event. That's what they're calling it. It's a cataclysm. It's life-threatening. 3 days. And the northern tier U.S. states up around Canada, they are going to have Arctic conditions. Now, they're a little more ready for Arctic conditions. They have snow plows. They have de-icing materials for the roads. Their drivers are more hip to driving on ice and in the snow. But down in the south, these people, they have no clue. No clue. This is not their domain. This is not their wheelhouse. They have no clue on how to deal with this. Well, it's coming. And it's going to be 3 days. And most people don't have food for 3 days. And a lot of people, their pipes are going to freeze. Then they won't have water. They won't have water and they won't have food. And then they're going to try to go out. They're going to get in their rickety old car and with no chains and no winter tires. They probably has bald tires because this is the South and everybody's poor. And they don't spend money on anything. They sit around and watch TV and eat Cheetos. And they're going to get in their rickety old car with the bald tires, and they're going to try to go downtown to get some milk and bread and maybe some water to bring back to drink. And they're going to swerve off the road. They're going to end up in a ditch, and no one's going to know they're there because it's, 9 o'clock at night, and they're going to freeze to death. These people are going to freeze to death. They're going to freeze to death in their homes when the electricity goes out, or when they may not even have heating. These are poor people. They may be living in mobile homes. Mobile homes. That's what we call them. They're trailers. Another way to call it. Thin-walled, up off the ground, so the cold air can come in under the unit and freeze the floors. So they have very little insulation, single-paned windows. It works for the south of the U.S. These kind of homes, they're cheap and available. They can, they leak when it rains, but they're suitable housing because it never gets cold. Their bigger problem is heat and humidity because it's, bordering semi-tropical down there, especially with the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico, I could go to a different picture here. Let's see, ocean, sea surface temperatures. Oh, what I have to go to now. Okay. Right. So looking at the southern tier U.S., these are the temperatures. This is the Gulf of Mexico. What kind of temperatures are we getting down here? 79 degrees Fahrenheit. 79 Fahrenheit? Really? This is hot and humid down here. That's what they're accustomed to. But what's going to happen now, of course, is, since I have this picture up, what's going to happen now is that cold air is going to ride the jet stream down into the lower parts of the U.S. And then it's going to meet this warm, moist air that's coming off of the Gulf of Mexico, which would like to be dominant. This air normally just flows right into the U.S. without any barriers of any kind, and it dominates the climate down there, so that you get warm, moist air. And they tend to get a lot of rain as a result. And sometimes when it's cold enough, they can get torrential rains and tornadoes as well. Well, now this cold air coming down from the north, this is Arctic air. This is Arctic air. This is not winter. This air would be suitable way up in the top of Canada, up around Greenland and Newfoundland. Okay, Hudson Bay. That's what you'd expect this air to be. It's not supposed to be down here. And if the jet stream were working correctly and there was a jet stream coming across here to act as a barrier to that Arctic air coming down, then it wouldn't be down here. But the jet stream is part of the problem now. The jet stream is loop-de-doop-de. It's being blown to pieces. The northern jet stream is in failure mode. I don't even know what happens to us when it completely fails. Wow. Well, now you've got a question. Now I'm stumped. What's going to happen to us when this thing completely falls apart? We're seeing early signs of that in this event. This huge loop of the jet stream has collapsed down into the lower 48, and it's bringing Arctic air with it. It is not fit for purpose. It is not holding the Arctic air back like it's supposed to, and as it has done for whatever, tens of thousands of years since the last glacial maximum. So it's no longer providing that service. And now the Gulf of Mexico is still here, and the Gulf of Mexico, like every other part of the Earth ocean, is anomalously hot. These are sea surface temperature anomalies. So if it's red or yellow or orange down here in the Gulf of Mexico, that means it's hotter than expected, as the same is happening over here in the South Pacific near south of California and near Baja California, hotter than expected. And the air currents coming off of these hotter than expected waters are all going straight into this event. These hot, moist air masses are going into this event, but this event is not dominated by heat. Although this is a heating planet, this event in this case is dominated by this loop of the jet stream coming down. And when these warm, moist air masses collide with this frigid Arctic air that is not supposed to be here, you're going to get snow and you're going to get ice. Ice is just frozen water, folks. Snow is just frozen water. It could be rain, it could be fog, it could be a lot of other things, but it's not, because it's hitting Arctic air. It freezes quickly, instantly, and the Arctic air dominates the entire experience. And that's why these people are going to get really apocalyptic amounts of ice. It will bring down their infrastructure. It will freeze their pipes. It'll freeze their pipes. And then when the pipes are frozen, they'll burst. Because this is going to be a hard freeze. So it'll freeze the pipes. It'll burst the pipes. It will do this all the way into the cities. Certainly in the rural areas where these people have no protections. They have taken no steps to defend their infrastructure. What will those steps be? You wrap your pipes. If people live in the north kind of know this. You wrap your pipes. You keep a faucet dripping all night so that you can run water through the plumbing, and you just keep it moving, and it comes out, of course, frozen or freezing at the spigot where it's running into a sink. But the rest of the plumbing at least is getting warm water from the ground. So if you know those kinds of tricks, you can, towards nightfall, or you go to bed, you go into one or two spigots in your house, you just turn them on really low. You just keep the water running through your pipes so you can defend your pipes. Will you do that? Probably not. Won't be anybody in the U.S. Southeast knows that trick. They won't do it. And besides which, you're wasting water and it costs money. What can I say? Those pipes are going to burst. They're going to freeze solid and they're going to burst under the pressure of the ice. And then you have a calamity because you have no water inside the house. But outside your house, everything's frozen. The driveway is frozen. The road is frozen. The local electrical infrastructure may have fallen down under the freeze. You may have snow on the ground. Snow and ice. You may have both. So now you can't even get around. You can't get out of your home. You can't go anywhere useful. It's going to take them a week to come and rescue you. And when they do, they have to fix the pipes and they have to, put the wires back up, and that's going to take time. And these people are going to be in big trouble. And we'll probably never hear about the fatalities. Well, they'll never tell us. You'll just have to guess how many people died as a result of this and how they died. And some of them will die in the cold. Some of them simply won't wake up in the morning. They'll go to bed at night. They'll put extra blankets on the bed, and for whatever reason, they're really old. They're really young. They're sick. They're drunk, right? So whatever the problem is, they can't save themselves, and they simply don't wake up in the morning, and they're frozen to death. People will be in their cars trying to go somewhere, maybe having emergencies. Maybe the pipes are burst and there's no water. Or the electricity is down and they can't heat their house. What if they're heating their house with electricity and the power goes down? Then they get in their car and they try to go into town, and then they slide off the road on their bald tires, and now they're in a ditch. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning and no one can find them. And the next time they do find them, someone walks up to a car in the ditch and knocks on the window. Hey, are you okay in there? And they're dead. They're frozen to death. This is how people die in a calamity like this. Will it be dozens of people? Will it be hundreds? I would say given how ill-prepared these people are, both physically in their infrastructure, physically in their health. These are some of the sickest people in the country down here. And also just intellectually, they just don't know what to do. Oh, and there's something else. They won't believe this. This is a recurrent theme in the U.S. South and Southeast and Florida. They just don't believe it. They don't believe it. It came out of the National Weather Service. Therefore, it's science. Therefore, it's a hoax. Because this is what they've been taught. They've been taught that everything is a hoax. Everything's a conspiracy. These people think that weather is being weaponized, and it's weather warfare, and it's Jewish space lasers, and it's HARP, and it's a bunch of stuff. They've completely lost their mind to brain rot. Too much time on TikTok. Too much time on Facebook. And they've ruined their minds so much that they can't even save themselves. They just won't believe it. And they will be found in the morning dead. Because they didn't believe it enough to take minimal steps to save themselves. And I assume that the news broadcasters are going to be, on the weather report. This is Wednesday, so Wednesday night, Thursday night, they're going to be telling them freeze is coming. You're just not going to believe it. We've never seen anything like this. It's going to be record breaking. It's going to be for 3 days. So you got to do this. Whatever you're going to do, folks, you have to do it 3 times. And if it doesn't work on day 1, then it's not going to work on day 2, and it's not going to work on day 3. And then we're going to have infrastructure problems. And so if the weathermen and the news anchors are doing their job, they'll be saying these things, just like I'm saying right now. They'll use the same words I'm using. Will they? No, they won't, because they are also in denial. And they have a constituency that if they say anything that sounds alarmist, then the people say, "Oh, you're woke. You're part of the problem. You're fear mongering, and you're trying to sell products. And boy, this is a conspiracy. You're trying to get us afraid, take away our freedoms, and take away our guns. And it's really unhinged in this part of the country." And when I say things like, "Yes, you're fear mongering because you want to take away our guns," that's exactly what they say. That's the kind of unhinged bullshit we have to deal with in the United States of America. That they don't believe that the weather can kill them. Because if they believe that, then somehow that allows you to take away their guns. Because they're unhinged. They've been driven insane. And insane people can't save themselves. That's the point. So this is an oh shit moment. I don't know. I don't know what these people are going to do. I'm probably going to come back here and do a couple more videos as this continues. So I guess this is oh shit part 1, right? And then we'll have another one on Thursday, and another one on Friday, and another one on Saturday, and another one on Sunday, and probably a follow-up on Monday, because oh shit. Yeah, that's where we are. And this is all global heating, people. This is all just to end this on the same refrain I end everything else. This is global heating. This is a breakdown of the polar vortex. This is going to be, I have to get rid of my drawing tool. I have to change my screen. I have to get to another screen. I have to come over here, and I have to do this and that and this. And then I have to tilt this to the North Pole. There we are. And this is the story, people. This is the story. The polar vortex, which we didn't even know existed until about, 40 years ago? Maybe less? We didn't even know this shit was up here. And we discovered it just in time to watch it go away. They just had record snow in Kamchatka. It's a peninsula associated with Russia. The Kamchatka Peninsula had record snow. I saw pictures of it. I'm pretty sure some of the pictures were AI generated because they were just completely unhinged. It's like, no, snow doesn't do that. It looked like something out of a Hollywood thriller. But some of it was not. And people were definitely having to dig out their apartments. There was snow up to the second floor. There was snow accumulated on the balconies of their apartments. And they're saying it's the worst snow they've had. And this is Russia now. This is Russia at and above the Arctic Circle. Worst snow they've had in 130 years, which means basically the worst snow they've had in Russian history. I don't know how long ago they acquired Kamchatka. They probably acquired it from the Chinese. So it goes back probably 130 years, maybe a little more, maybe 150 years. They've had it. They took it from the Chinese. And the Chinese complain about it constantly. They want it back. I mean, do they really want it back? Anyway, they claim they want it back. And so the Russians have had it for a while, and so probably about 130 years. So basically, in the time that modern records have been kept, they have not seen snow like this in Kamchatka. Kamchatka is, let me get my drawing tool. Where is it? It's part of Russia. It is, I think it's right there. I'm looking at this map. It's kind of hard to, okay, that's Japan. I want to say it's right here. So I guess it's across from Alaska. About the same latitude. So they've just had record snow. Now remember, any record, anything falling from the sky, snow, rain, sleet, hail, any of those guys, that's all precipitation. It's all water, and the water comes from the oceans, always. A few exceptions. But in this context, always from the oceans. And the oceans are record hot all over the planet. There's records amount of moisture being lofted into space, into the air from the hot oceans. The record amount of moisture being lofted into the air meets these record cold blobs that are descending from the Arctic Circle in a record way. And then you get record snow, or record ice, or record rain. Alaska has been getting record amounts of rain. Really weird for them. They should be getting snow this time of year. Remember, this time of year is when they barely even have daylight in the northern hemisphere. They have their longest nights and shortest days this time of year. It's mostly dark. There's very little solar input. They should be getting snow every time. And now they're getting snow and rain because of global heating. Kamchatka got record amounts of snow, and they're having to dig out. And they're trying to pretend, oh, well, it does this all the time, periodically, but according to the people who know, it hasn't done that for 130 years in Kamchatka. So they're getting record amount of snow. The U.S., bless their heart, the U.S., the Southerners in the U.S. are getting record amounts of snow and ice, and it has all to do with the good old jet stream and the collapse of the jet stream, all of which is happening because of global heating, including the evaporation of the moisture into the air, which leads to the snow and the ice. So there you go. We are still in the jaws of disaster. We are still in a land of unintended consequences. We did this, people. We did this. We did this to ourselves. We did this to the planet. There's no way out. There's no way out of this. No way out. It never gets better. It only gets worse. Over the long run. Over the average, it only gets worse. Never gets better. And where is this taking us? I don't know. That's my concern. I don't really know where this is taking us. We have these events, record heat in Alaska, record cold in Florida, so that the state of Alaska is hotter, actually hotter on the ground, temperature-wise, with a thermometer. The state of Alaska is hotter than the state of Florida. Okay. Good luck figuring that out, people. Good luck figuring that out. That's your world. That's the world you live in now. That's the world you live in now. 100% of it caused by global heating. Yes, of course, the record high temperatures in Alaska are caused by global heating. I'll allow for that, says the denier. But what about the record cold in the U.S. Southeast? It's also due to global heating. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't track. Well, yes, it does. Earth planetary physics. A collapse of the polar vortex caused by heating leads to a collapse of the jet stream, therefore caused by heating. And the collapse of the jet stream allows this cold Arctic air to descend into lower latitudes because of the heating. And so now you have cold Arctic air in the U.S. Southeast because of heating. I just laid it out. That's it. You don't want to believe it? Then don't believe it. But it's not going to save you from it. Physics is real. Physics is just going to do shit to you. And physics is going to freeze your pipes. And physics is going to bring down your power lines. And physics is going to make the roads unpassable. And physics is going to destroy the countryside. And physics is going to kill the animals. And physics is going to kill the crops. Because physics. Because that's what physics does. It freezes your ass and keeps you frozen for 3 solid days. And if you're not ready for it, that's your problem. Physics doesn't care. And if you're going to pray to God and pray to Jesus and stroke your lucky rabbit's foot and do all the things, and it doesn't matter. Physics doesn't care. Enough for me. I got other things to do. I will be back here because this is going to be a story. And if you live in the U.S. Southeast, my advice to you is take this shit seriously. This is coming for you, my friend, my dear. This is coming for you. And there's no escaping this. This is not going to swerve left. It's not going to swerve right. It's coming right at you, dead on your nose. And you better get ready for this as much as you can. And you need to find out how people survive freezing air like this. And my advice is don't die.